Brian Fisher is a hateful right-winger. He's part of Family. All these right-wing fundamentalist evangelical groups have family in the name, right? So I make fun of them that way. And he does all these protests, and well, he's at least done us the favor of making his point very, very clear. He has written an article saying that it is literally, here's the headline, it's altogether right to discriminate against homosexual behavior. So discrimination against gays is awesome. Okay. So what's the case that he makes? It's an interesting one. He says, it is time for conservatives to reclaim and rehabilitate the word discriminate, particularly when it comes to homosexual behavior. So, as brazen as it gets, saying, you know what? I want to reclaim the idea of discrimination because it's awesome. Okay, so he's going to explain why. He says, the truth is that public policy is about nothing other than discrimination. This is what public policy is all about, using good judgments to distinguish those behaviors that are worthy of public approval from those behaviors which ought to receive public disapproval. Now, actually, on this issue, he's actually not that wrong, okay? So, for example, we disapprove of murderers because we think it's bad for society, because you've harmed someone else, thieves, etc. So it is us, in a sense, you can argue, discriminating against murderers. But that is based on something that they have done against others who have hurt them, right? It makes sense for a society overall. His problem is not that. His problem is he'd like to discriminate against people who haven't done a damn thing to hurt anyone else. It just hurts his sensibilities, his so-called morality, something that somebody wrote in a text possibly 2,000 years ago. So he's hurt by that, so he continues. Now, he then compares homosexuality to all sorts of vile things, including murder, thieves, etc. He mentions rapists several times. He, of course, mentions having sex with children at least 3. I lost track at one point. It might have been 4 times in comparing them. But here's my favorite one out of all those. Here's a paragraph. So we rightly discriminate against people who rip off convenience stores, burgle houses, drive while drunk, eat the faces off homeless people, gun down servicemen on military bases, embezzle funds from employers or clients, or beat their wives, thereby comparing gay folks to zombies in Miami. You remember, of course, the famous cannibal/zombie attack in Miami where the guy ate the face off the homeless person. If you're gay or you eat people's faces, same thing, okay? And we are right to discriminate against either one of you, okay? And he concludes by saying, the point is this: we discriminate against sexually immoral and inappropriate behavior all the time, and homosexual behavior is sexually immoral and inappropriate. And hence, we should discriminate, obviously, his point is, against homosexual behavior. Okay. Now, the problem with this article is that it's going to actually work on some people. Because they're going to say, wait a minute, right? Wait, we do discriminate in the law. That's true. Against murderers and rapists. All right. And we have some sex laws, like against rape and pedophilia, etc. So we discriminate on the basis of sexuality. Oh, so I guess it makes sense that since they're all immoral and homosexuality is immoral, that we should discriminate against that. But you're missing a critical part. The rest is rational because you're causing harm to other human beings, and society needs to protect those people. In homosexuality, there is no harm to anyone else, and it's only immoral because you think Yahweh said it 2,000 years ago. And that's like your opinion, man, okay? So if I thought my religious text said, hey, you know what? It is deeply immoral to have green eyes. Deeply immoral. I know Yahweh told me. My Yahweh told me 2,000 years ago, some dude wrote it down. If you have green eyes, it is an abomination against the Lord, okay?
Well, I'm in trouble.
Well, then you're obviously eat the faces off people, you're a rapist, you're the equivalent of all those because you're immoral because you got green eyes. You were born with green eyes, that guy was born liking dudes. It's, hey, my God said it, so you can't argue with it.
I feel like you're overemphasizing the impact that Brian Fisher has. I don't think that he has that much impact. The people out there who are ignorant and believe that the gay community is that destructive to society are going to remain ignorant, and they're not going to change their minds. But I think the majority of Americans at this point are changing their stance on gay marriage and gay rights. And I see this as conservatives lashing out because they know that this is really their last opportunity to have maybe a little bit of an impact. You know, the Supreme Court decided, or federal court decided that the Defense of Marriage Act is unconstitutional. And you're seeing all of these states legalizing gay marriage. People are becoming more and more accepting of it, and they're desperate. They don't know what to do.
I don't want anybody to relax and think that we won this thing. There's only 8 states that allow gay marriage. The others do not. In fact, they have a great number of them have gone out of their way to pass laws and sometimes even amendments saying gay people are not allowed to marry. And so ironically, they are doing what's immoral, which is that judging people based on how they were born and taking away their rights because of who they are. That's deeply immoral. That actually hurts someone else in society. And we haven't won this fight yet. Unfortunately, so many people in this country look at what Brian Fisher says, and in most of the states in this country, they go, oh, damn right, that makes sense. He said it's immoral, and he said it's a sexual deviance that we can regulate. Well, golly gee, that must be a good argument. So we're here to beat back arguments like that and show you what a moron Brian Fisher is.
Yeah, and fighting back against that is great. But I just don't see, especially people in my generation, I don't see them looking at Brian Fisher, reading his piece or whatever the hell he wrote, and actually taking him seriously.
I mean, we can all have arguments about over who's a nobody, right? But he's the guy that pushed Mitt Romney to fire his gay policy advisor. And he's the one that celebrated after he was fired and say, haha, we won. And this sends a message to Republicans, never hire anyone who's gay, okay? So as irrelevant as he appears to us, to Republicans, he's unfortunately still incredibly relevant.